afternoon. It's 1 p.m. just after on the 10th of June 2020. I thought I'd do a little update. I'm not sure this is going to have much in it, but I thought I'd have a little update. -4 mental health. I got woken up this morning at 10 to 9 by Hermes trying to get a replacement part for my shoe rack, and Hermes phoned to pick it up, and I haven't even received the replacement yet. That's due sometime today. So when I get the replacement, I'll switch the two bits out, and then I need to go onto Parcel to go to get the thing done. Anyway, so that was 10 to 9. Hermes is cancelled. I thought it was cancelled anyway, but Hermes is now cancelled. I got through to... who did I call after? The Equalities and Human Rights Commission, and they confirmed what I suspected, that they're in Waltham Forest are breaching my human rights under sections 1 and sections 8. The right to possessions and the right to a family life. They also think that they're in breach of a protected right under the Equalities Act, i.e. disability, which I also expected, but it was nice to have someone confirm it. Louisa was fantastic. I feel so much calmer having spoken to Louisa at the ECHR. Or is it AHR? I don't know. Equalities and Human Rights, EHRC. I've emailed the council again. Only Martin Eason, my councillors, and Karen. And I've asked them what's going on. They're infringing my human rights. They're infringing my rights under the Equalities Act. And all they want to do is write to me with a bunch of lies and excuses. What's going on about my rubbish? I've got me medication being delivered anyway on Thursday or Friday, which is fine. I don't like doing it because I know they're busy and I don't like doing this. But I've got no one else to ask. What else? After 3 weeks of delays, I finally got the stuff out to do lasagna. It's been in there 3 weeks and I've been delaying it, but now I've got the stuff out. There's more room in the freezer a little anyway, because I'm not getting all the waste food from the COVID-19 group anymore. I've blocked... oh, get this. I don't know, did I do an update yesterday? I'm losing track of time. I've blocked another one from the Independent Living Department in Waltham Forest Council, Suzette Gow, because she basically told me the answer to the question I've been asking for weeks. How do you tell what flat someone lives in if they're in a secure block of flats? Press the trades button, she said, and follow them. One, it's fantastic if you actually feel safe in your own block that you can go out, but I don't, because Waltham Forest do nothing about my safety. And two, that could be classed as stalking and you could be in breach of the stalking law anyway. So there we are. Perfect. Someone panics when they're under pressure in the council, and instead of saying they don't know, they make up some illegal, well, just press the trades button. Well, technically the trades button is only for trades. You're not supposed to press it if you're not a business person on a job or a postman or someone like that. You're not supposed to just press the button and then walk through. And it only works for 4 hours a day, as far as I know. Something like 9 to 1, depending on the time clock and all that. So I don't know. I've spoken to a very nice woman at mental health. I now have a key worker called Alfred. It's only taken 2.5 years. I've got a key worker. Look at that. Is it 3 years? I can't remember. I'm losing track of the years. Tayona was the woman that called, the manager at the mental health team, and she told me, and I explained to her that, if people call me, can you make sure they don't use a private number because it gives me panic attacks. I'm not even saying it's because of my anxiety, because that's only what makes me do it. The reason I do it is because I have panic attacks when I get a private number. And the council, Waltham Forest, have said to me on various occasions, "Oh, Mr. Gibbons, you are going to have to stop blocking people because we won't be able to contact you." i.e., never mind what the law says, we're not going to make any reasonable adjustments. That's what it means. And I've been trying to tweet and text people, as many people in Parliament and related disabilities as I can last night, to try and get someone to raise a parliamentary question to the appropriate minister. I'm not even sure which minister would be appropriate. Basically asking that, since the Equalities Act has been in existence for over 10 years now, why is it possible that local authorities and local governments and anyone related to the public sector is allowed to use private numbers, knowing full well that some people have anxiety about picking up private calls? I will tell you now, I know what the answer is. It's because, not Crown immunity. I can hear you crying out, Crown immunity. No, Crown immunity got scrapped a long time ago in most areas. No, it's because no one has the power to tell these people they're doing something wrong and to enforce it. There should be, local authorities and government should have an overarching oversight committee, something with more power than the person they're oversight of. I mean, we've got the ombudsman, but they haven't got any power. They've got the authority to advise, and in some cases, like the health and safety executive, warn. And they can issue enforcement notices, the health and safety executive, but there's nothing they can do, because you can't take the Crown to court. By definition, you're asking the Crown to prosecute the Crown. So when it comes to being taken to court, they have got a section of Crown immunity. Unless it's under a law, Casby, YouTube Casby. Unless it's under a law that exempts or de-exempts Crown immunity, basically, removes Crown immunity. There are some laws that were passed that exempt Crown immunity. I think the Corporate Manslaughter Act, there's no Crown immunity to that. But there's still an awful lot of Crown immunity in health and safety and things like that. And the Ombudsman have got no powers. And that's what is wrong. The Ombudsman needs to have overarching powers of enforcement. There's no point setting Ombudsman up that you can forward your complaint to and they can investigate it and say whether you were right or wrong. If they can't actually say, if you were right, well, we're going to make the council do this. Or I don't believe council should be fined, because that just basically puts up everyone's council tax. When everyone isn't doing anything wrong, it's just the council. I think if there are fines, they should be imposed on the officers concerned, not on the council, directly out of the officers concerned. And if there's any enforcement or breach of, there should be prison sentences. And these people should be debarred from public office. In fact, I would go so far to say as if, in the ideal situation, ombudsmen should be able to not only debar from public office, but debar from any boardroom. So they can't have an executive position in any company. Because if they can't be trusted to run a public organisation, why should they be trusted to run an organisation that's private? Sorry, there should be... It sounds draconian, but I think there should be an upper limit to their earnings to prevent them from getting senior jobs. I would say no more than the living wage plus 5,000. So they've got that little bit of variance, the living wage up to 5,000 on the living wage. And that's it. If they screw up in public office, that is the most they can earn ever. And that would be fine. That would get the people concerned to do things, because they would find a way of getting things done, rather than, because I know what it's like in the civil and public service. I've hidden facts under instructions from a superior. I've raised the issue and they said, oh, don't argue with this, just do it. And because everyone was in it, I couldn't do anything about it. I mean, now there's whistleblowing stuff that's been implemented. But back then, back in the 80s, there wasn't anything known as a whistleblower. And I have done that. I mean, even in private companies, I've been told to amend contract PDFs. To open a PDF that's been signed, to amend the wording and to save the PDF that's signed with the new wording. And I raised that at the time, and I said, isn't that illegal? And they said, oh, don't argue, just do it. And that, I mean, I'm one person, and I know right from wrong. Other people just, oh yes, I'll do whatever you say. I don't know whether it's right or wrong. I don't even care if it's right or wrong. A lot of people will say, but I do. And if they can do it in the private sector, I know they can do it in the public sector, because I've had instructions to do it in the public sector. So all this nonsense about, I can take them to court and all that, and I see it as a waste of public finances, honestly, because all this could be dealt with over a phone. One phone call, 2 phone calls. Give me the meeting that I was asking for in February. That's all I've been asking for. A meeting with senior officials to discuss what's going on and why things aren't being done. I know why things aren't being done. I want someone to tell me why things aren't being done. Right, so I've got my medicine coming. I've got my lasagna out. Hopefully I can cook that tonight. I might not have it tonight though, because by the time I've done it, it depends when I have dinner really. What else? I've got the email from the EHRC. Need to sit down and read that. There's quite a lot of attachments and guidance on it. What else? Oh, I finally started doing the filling the holes. I'll do that in a moment. Finish off filling the holes in the bedroom, and then I can sand that back and paint it. And I mean, it looks better now without barefaced holes. It looks a lot better now. Now the videos, right? This is what I meant to say on my last video. This is 53, I think it is, episode 53. You will notice on YouTube that these video thumbnails have changed colour again, which I weren't going to do, but I've moved over to new software, and all the ones with the different colour are done under the new software, Kden Live basically, and it's all done under Kubuntu, KD version of Ubuntu. And so far it is the most wonderful experience I've had editing videos. It's fast. I mean, the end screen and the start and end screens, all you have to do is right click and edit, and then change the numbers and the dates, and done. And then all you have to do is import your video, which is this bit, and before you import it, you import the whole clip, and in the clip window you can actually slice off the end and the beginning, so you've got just the talking bit in the middle, which is the way I like it. I just talking. You go straight from the titles to me to the end credits. And it is so easy. After I took about 4 days to learn it, and it's fantastic now. So that simplified things. Here they go. Midday it started. I've got kids out the back again. Midday. Playing football. It's not a playground, but they're treating it as a playground. And there's no one in the council I can tell, because the council wants an exact address. This is the bollocks that I get from the council. We can't do anything unless you can give us an exact address. Well, how do you get the exact address of someone that lives in the block next door that you only ever see outside? You're supposed, according to Suzette Gow, fantastic woman, according to Suzette Gow, I go next door, press the trades button, and listen to the doors. What am I supposed to be listening for? And that all relies on me being able to get out. So there we are. I don't know. Anyway, Caden Live. That's all up and running, and the videos, as you've seen, they're getting out a lot quicker now. The last few videos I've noticed, I had to reset the camera on this phone. The last few videos have been done in 720p. And I had a look at the settings and it wouldn't allow me to change it up, and I think there's been a firmware update or software update to the software. I've had to restore the defaults on the camera to get it up to 1080p 60 frames a second. I was going to do just 30, but I thought might as well do 60 and let YouTube play about with it. It looks better anyway if I do it in the full 60. There's not so much tearing and it just looks clearer. Might have bigger files and that. I was going to do it in 4K because this camera will do 4K at 30, but 4K at 30 for 15 seconds, it was doing basically about a meg every second of data, and I'm not too sure my little laptop could cope with all that. It's only got 8 gig of RAM and it's like an i5 from about 4 years ago. I mean, it does really well. I'm looking after it. I've had to replace the screen because the screen was faulty when I first got it. That's how I got it. It was from a client and they just didn't want it. It was only like 8 months old. But it took us so long to diagnose it. Well, it took the company I was working for so long. I told them it was just a faulty screen. And it took the client so long to get back to us that by the time they got back to us, they'd already replaced the laptop. And, you know, the data was all wiped and then everything. They just asked us to wipe it and throw it away. So everyone agreed that I could take it. Nice people. I wiped it and, you know, the drive was taken out and I put a new drive in and all that. So it was nothing to do with data from the laptop. I just had the laptop with no hard drive. Fine. That's all the customer wanted. So I replaced the screen, which was only about £15. And ever since then, I've had a nice i5 laptop with a decent GPU on it. It's an Intel on-chip thing, but it's not too bad. It handles the workload quite well, especially under Linux. I tried Caden Live under Windows. There's a beta version for Windows. Buggy ain't the word. Oh, it starts up slow. It crashes a lot. And it doesn't really, when it does, I did a few test runs. When I found out there was a Caden Live for Windows, I tried it. And in comparison to the Linux version, it's like chalk and cheese. Windows starts up slowly and crashes. Linux under Kubuntu, because I thought since it's a KDE video editor, let's put a KDE desktop on, was going to go for Linux Mint KDE. But I read that Linux Mint are going to scrap the KDE version. Otherwise, I would have been on Linux Mint. I had problems configuring Linux Mint to get Caden Live working, which is why I tried OpenSUSE, and I couldn't get to grips with that at all. I've used OpenSUSE in the past, a while ago, a few years ago, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't friendly. That's when I had to look up and I thought, oh, Kubuntu, because Ubuntu is the base for most of this software nowadays anyway. So most of the packages are written for Ubuntu and modified for other distributions. So I thought, let's go for the KDE version of Ubuntu. And it's got the desktop I like, with the menu bars and things like that. The GNOME version of Ubuntu uses this funny sort of like side panel. And I don't like that. I know you can probably change that to a normal desktop thing, but it's a lot of tinkering and messing about and getting things. And when there's a new version, it resets it all, and you have to go. The KDE version of Ubuntu, lovely. The shutdown menu is the only thing I've got to gripe with, because it seems to be backwards to me. The shutdown button is on the right hand, the furthest away from the menu button, and then you've got all these options, and it just feels wrong. Maybe because I'm not used to it, but it just feels wrong. But it works, and that's all that matters to me. So I've got Linux. I'm trying to get Wine running. I'm trying to get a previous version of Office running under Wine. There's a few good versions. I just need to. I've tried 2016, not installing properly. I'm gonna try the previous version and see if I can get that installed. Because I think the 2016 one is only beta anyway. So I might try the 2010 one. I might try that. I have to. The funny thing is, the way that Microsoft dishes the images out, it detects whether you're on a Windows PC. If you're not, then it gives you the mobile version of the apps. So you have to go into Windows, download the installer you need, and then extract it, because a lot of them are now IMG files. So you have to open the IMG file up, extract it, and then copy that over to the Linux desktop and then run it from there. So I'll try the next version of Office later. I seem to have a problem with the internet. It was a bit iffy last night, and the speeds are a little bit down, I think. Or there's a problem with just YouTube. I had a problem with YouTube the other night as well. Everything else was working, but YouTube was a bit weird. Anyway, so what else is left? Linux, desktop, editor, rubbish. Oh, rubbish. I've emailed the council about the rubbish. Literally about half an hour ago. So I'm waiting for a response on that, because it's now Wednesday and I've not had a shower for 2 weeks now. Since, I think, Friday the week before last. Because the bathroom's full up with rubbish. Oh no, tell a lie. They came round to pick it up on Monday last week. Monday this week. No, Monday last week. Good grief. So it would have been Monday I would have had a shower. And then the bath started filling up with rubbish. So Monday last week. So 9 days without a shower. No wonder why the cats are avoiding me. I think that might be all. I think that might be all. Anyway, if there is an update, I'll do an amendment to this. But if there isn't, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share. My viewers have gone up. Whoa, I've got another subscriber. I think I'm up to 18 now. Ooh, 18 from 17 a few weeks ago. I know who the 18th one is. A woman called Amalia. Yes, darling, come on. Yeah, me and Tabs. Come on, baby. Tabs, internet, Tabs. See, they all come and talk to me eventually. Didn't you? Such a beautiful baby. And I've got their cat stuff coming. The cat grass and new filter for the water fountain, finally. I should have changed that filter straight away when I put it out there a year and a half ago, shouldn't I? Yes, baby. Little Tabs. He's such a little bundle of fun. He's growing up a bit now, though. He's getting a bit old and responsible. He tries washing Merlin, but Merlin don't like it. I wash myself, I'm not that old, Merlin says. Anyway, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, share, pass it on, share this playlist, because I want this to get out. I want people to know that they're not alone in all this. It isn't something that you need reassurance. I need reassurance that you're not going mad. The world isn't upside down. It's just bad people are allowed to do bad things. And the only way we can stop bad people doing bad things is for good people to tell them off and to get them to enforce what they're supposed to be doing. We can't do it individually. We have to unite in this. The local government, the national government, all public bodies, hospitals, doctors, everyone that creates a public service has got a duty of care to be open and honest with the public, because they are public servants. They're not public miscreants that are forced to lie to you because they're afraid they're going to get caught out. No. Public servants should be serving the public, and we need to unite on this and stand together. This is a campaign. I need this to go national. It's frustrating for us individuals that are stuck in this corner that we're painted into because local authorities up and down the country, not all local authorities, but I think it's a lot of them, are just ignoring their responsibilities under the law because they've got no one to tell them otherwise. From the chief execs down, it's like, well, what are they going to do? Take us to the ombudsman? They're sitting there laughing at the ombudsman. They're not afraid of anyone apart from another solicitor. And even then, unless it actually gets to court, they don't do a thing. All they want to do is waste public finances by not doing the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, and then they're forced to do it eventually by a solicitor threatening to take them to court. So they've got solicitors writing backwards and forwards, wasting public funds for something that the councils are obliged to do by law. For example, make reasonable adjustments. I've heard that for 10 years now. Oh, the council's supposed to make reasonable adjustments. Yes, they know they are. But then everyone is supposed to make reasonable adjustments. You shouldn't have to tell the council. For example, when the Equalities Act got passed in 2010, from that moment on, everyone should have been deprivatising their number, because that would be a reasonable adjustment for people with anxiety. They shouldn't have to wait to be told that someone's got anxiety and type a 4-digit star code in beforehand to deprivatise their number. Why not just offset the act by saying, oh, well, we've deprivatised our numbers generally? And the thing is, Waltham Forest Council, I closed this video a few minutes ago, didn't I? The thing is, Waltham Forest Council, you have managed in 13 weeks to deprivatise your call centre number, because when they call you back, and occasionally they do, they call back on a disclosed number. So if you've managed to do that in the last 13 weeks, why couldn't you disclose it for all outgoing calls? Why are you keeping things private and secret? Your website's awful, by the way. It's public data is being hidden by Waltham Forest Council. And I'm not afraid of saying that, because I can prove it. You've just got to look up the directors of Waltham Forest Council, the executive directors. Most of them aren't listed by email address. And yet you look on the London Council's website, all the email addresses are there. So why don't they list their own addresses on the Waltham Forest Council site? The deputy chief exec, Lindsay someone, she's changed. Not on the Waltham Forest website, on the London Council's website, etc, etc, etc. I could go on and on and on. All this openness and honesty from public bodies that John Major went on about in 1992, nothing has happened. Citizens Charter, out the window. Open and honesty, out the window. We'd get more open and honest government if we were in bloody communist Russia. That's how bad it is in this country. People believe what they're being told. And it's like, oh, we won't question it because it's the government or it's the council or it's these or it's that. And it's like, how many years have, for example, the statue of the slave trader in Bristol, Custard or someone, was torn down a few days ago on this Black Lives Matter protest. And it's not like it was a new thing. The council had petitions to remove the statue for years. And the furthest down the road the petitions have got is the council was debating whether to redo the plaque on the statue, to change the wording on it, because it says it was in tribute to an honourable and upstanding member of the community or something like that. And really, people, this is why people tore the statue down. They're frustrated with bureaucracy. I mean, how difficult is it to say, oh yeah, it's a good idea, let's modernise the area and take down all the slave traders. Thankfully, they are now getting, one in Docklands got taken down yesterday by the local authority. And they should, it's not just slave traders. I don't believe in wiping it all out. I believe what the mayor said in Bristol about picking it up out the river and putting it in a museum is not a bad idea. Because if you just remove the statues and they don't exist anywhere, then what is there to remind you of the legacy? You need to be reminded of this, even if it's not... I mean, you could have a statue to Cockstold in Bristol, but change it. Instead of being in a prime location, honouring what he's done, just change it. And this is the face of a slave trader that paid for most of what you see around you. Or something like that. It needs to be thought about, but it is a bit weird, some of the stuff we've got on public view. It might have been right 100 years ago, because if the Victorians saw any philanthropy as good, no matter where the money came from. But as it was discussed on LBC this morning, early this morning, 1:30, 2ish, there's also like the Cecil Rhodes statue in Oxford, and he's got a trustee scholarship grant thing, and they're talking about taking the statue out. It's in a private area anyway, inside Oxford University, so it is in a private grounds. So they haven't got justification to have it removed by the council because it's Oxford University at the end of the day. And if it's their building, it's up to you to choose whether you go there. So that's an iffy one. I can understand public statues, but people with statues on their own property that isn't within sight of the public, and that's the thing. I don't know where the Cecil Rhodes statue is. Is it visible from the street? That is the one. If it is, then yeah, there's a offensiveness about it. But if it's inside the university and you have to be a member to actually see the statue, then it's up to you whether you go to Oxford University or not, really, at the end of the day. But it depends on the location of the statue in my book. Because private people can put anything up as long as it's not publicly visible, able to cause an offence. Whether it's right or wrong, that's neither here nor there. If it's private, it's private. And Oxford University is a private organisation. It's not publicly funded, it's private. Anyway, So they were talking about removing the statue, but the grant, they was talking about, well, renaming it or repurposing the grant that was left by Cecil Rhodes and using it as, quotes, reparations. I don't like reparations, as has been proven time and time again, does nothing. It shouldn't be a matter of reparations. What happened happened. Yes, it was wrong. Slavery is always wrong. You can't own people. Yet at the time it wasn't illegal and it wasn't seen as wrong. It's a complicated one. It really is a complicated one. It does feel like something is going to change this time round, though. So George Floyd, I'm not very good with remembering the news and that lately. I don't think he's died in vain, because things have got done in his name, even if it's just removing a few statues. I believe the environment should be not non-offensive, but at least offensive for most people. There's always going to be someone that's going to be offended by anything. And you can't make it up. If you made exceptions for everything, then you basically kiss goodbye to freedom of speech. Some things that some people reasonably say, some people will find offensive. You can't allow for everything to be judged as offensive. Some things have to be said whether they offend people or not. That's where the freedom of information comes in, or freedom of speech. You have to have the right to sometimes offend people, because it is for the greater good that people are offended. It's a bit like when people started questioning politicians back in the 60s and 70s, and politicians were offended because politicians were, up until that point, assumed to be upstanding, trustworthy pillars of the community. And it wasn't until investigations into their private lives came out that it was found that even their public lives, it was found that politicians weren't as trustworthy as they were asking to be judged by. So that's what I mean. You have to offend some people sometimes so you can move the freedoms forward for the general population. You can't run freedom of speech for the minority. You can make allowances, but you can't stop freedom of speech because one person may take offence. It needs to be more than that. There needs to be more of a definition about offence, because people could just say they're offended when they're not really. They're just doing it to make a point. But it's not a medical thing. You can't prove that you've been offended. It's a subjective thing. And that's where the laws always fall down, when it's a subjective thing. And offensiveness is the most subjective thing that goes through the courts. Has someone been racially offended by X saying something? Has someone been offended because of their mental health? Has someone been offended because of any reason? It should be in relation to the greater good. It should be, is society going to let X be offended because the majority of people aren't offended by it? I'm all for looking after. I mean, I'm in the minority myself. You know, I've got a disability, a mental disability. And I'm all for making reasonable adjustments, as the law says, to limit the offensiveness of things. But it's that word reasonable again. What is reasonable? What I see as reasonable isn't probably what you see as reasonable. It is a tricky one. Reparations, I don't think, it's done and dusted. It's historical. We need to remember what happened and exactly what happened, not this mythical stories you see on the press and in some films. I do believe Roots by Alex Haley, the TV miniseries, because I've got a copy of that over there somewhere. I do believe that Roots is a fairly reasonable approximation to what slavery was like. It shows it warts and all. I think it's been sanitised in Roots. I think it was more harsher than Roots shows you. But if Roots actually made it as harsh as it was, then at the time I don't think any of the networks would have bought it. So it's been toned down, but even the toned down version, I recommend everyone to watch Roots. I don't know if it's on Netflix or whatever, but get the mini-series, Roots. Watch it. It gives a good approximation to the saga of slavery and the slave trade. Everyone should know about slavery. Everyone should know about all forms of slavery, going back for centuries, millennia even, going back to the Greeks and the Egyptians and the Romans. Thankfully, there isn't. I mean, they've got what they class as modern day slavery now, but it's not the same sort of thing. The modern day slavery is mostly illegal immigrants that have had their passports removed by the people they start working for, and then they're kept hidden in a basement or a room in the attic or something, so they've got no access to the outside, etc., etc., etc. That's the modern version of slavery. I'm not saying there's no harm, and you know, it's not, people aren't treated as bad as slaves were 200 years ago, for instance. But I think it's different, and that needs stamping out. You know, okay, there needs to be. This is a right bugbear of mine. Illegal immigrants. Okay. Because I believe that's where modern slavery is mostly based now. People that are legally in the country and they're forced to stay in the country by having their passports removed. There should be something to protect these people, whether they're illegal or not. I do believe if they've been made a fault, if they've got in this country illegally, yeah, that's a bad thing. But if they've then been allowed, because of the illegal immigration, to be imprisoned, then I believe we should just give them the right to remain, so they don't have to fear being treated like that again. That would be the humane thing to do. The trouble is, if we did that, this is what I mean, there's so many people that take advantage of these things, that if the government did that, then you'd get an awful lot of people that would be pretending to be enslaved and would be claiming they've been enslaved by someone just to get the right to remain in the country. And it's proving it that's the problem. How do you prove that you had been enslaved? Tricky one, boys and girls. But yeah, things are changing. Unfortunately, the government at the moment isn't actually putting its best foot forward, shall we say. They should be leading by example. But all they want to do in Parliament is get everyone back into the House of Commons so we can have jolly old debates and rah, rah, rah and all this. And yet it's been working pretty good on a remote virtual Parliament. I've been watching some of Parliament TV while they've been virtualising it, and it's weird because you go back to a half-empty chamber, or an almost empty chamber, and you keep flashing up these video calls from other politicians around around the country in their own homes. And I do believe that Parliament need to lead by example. If they need people to get back to work, and Parliament can work remotely, for crying out loud, they're not building a wall. They're just talking. You don't need to be in the same room to talk to someone. If they can work remotely, they should work remotely. They should encourage people to be working remotely to cut down on people travelling to and fro. I'm not saying we should not have any more commuting. Oh, sorry. I'm not saying we shouldn't have any more commuting. I'm saying we should only have commuting where it's required, not requested. Yes. If we can get that to change, and we can cut down the amount of pollution and the amount of traffic, then the world will heal itself. As they've discovered over the last 3 months of lockdown, I think it's 14% clearer of pollution, the air in London now. I think it's a bit more than that. Even the air coming in through my windows is clearer, and there's hardly any dirt on the outside. So there's less pollution being breathed in. People are healthier. Their lungs are cleaner. I think people will suddenly discover that if they haven't been attacked by COVID-19, the taste of smell and taste, the senses, are going to be improved drastically by not having that dust in your lungs and all around your mouth. Oh dear, I don't know. I feel like I've been rambling again, boys and girls. I think I'll end it there because I think it's been a while. Keep looking up at the clock, it's 10 to 1 now. I think it was just after 1 today. So it's been going on for about 45 minutes now. If there is an update, I'll let you know. But thank you for watching. I'll speak to you again later.